Hey, good evening, good afternoon, or good morning, however this finds you. I'd like to welcome you to the first ever episode of Precision Scapes, my name, my business. I messed up so you don't have to. And this is brought to you by 10, 11, 12 years now of selfless service to my clients, to this business, to this industry. And I am trying to put it all together and compartmentalize it for you all to learn from. So let's get started off with our first, most important, the number one thing that can destroy all hardscapes, and that is what? Water. Water will always destroy any and everything that you're ever trying to do. So you must always have a what? A water plan. Oh, it's a good thing that my black marker works. So we're going to have our water plan. It's going to be the most important thing that you're going to have starting off with a job, okay? So you must know what your final elevation is for your end project, right? You have to know where the thresholds of the house are. Where you're going to be coming out of your home, garage elevation, doors going into the home, you have to know. Note that it is per code that you must have a 2% slope away from your house at all times for the first 10 feet. Okay, now that is pretty steep because that means 1/4 inch per foot. That means 1 inch per 4 foot level. That's a pretty substantial drop. That's a pretty heavy drop. So there is ways around it. You can introduce a step, go down, correct the elevation. Every job is going to be different to its own. You're going to have to spec out each individual job, but that is exactly why this is important to know all this stuff so you can make these adjustments. You can put in drainage, you can put in swells, you can put in different things to make sure that your water is accommodated, but you absolutely want to make sure that water is accommodated. You want to take into account all of your gutters, your gutter drains. You got to locate them. You got to know if they're underground. You got to know where they're at, and you got to have a plan for them to get away from the house. I like to use Schedule 40 PVC, not crush pipe, because crush pipe crushes. PVC does not. So I use PVC on those. Let's not forget to call this 811. Call that number before you start any job. Have them come out, dig, locate everything. They're going to let you know where all of your major utility lines are at the beginning of the job, and if you request anywhere around the job, they will locate those. They will not locate residential lines, just the commercial lines that they install. Now, in your final gutter drain, your water plan, you want to make sure that your reroute is not affecting your neighbors, okay? Because they will sue you. Not affecting your neighbors. Water has to flow. You do not want to stop it. That is the thing about water. It just has to go somewhere. Always give that water somewhere to go so it doesn't get stopped up and pull up and cause a problem, okay? It's very simple, very, very simple. Rock moves water, the block moves water. Everything that we install essentially moves water, especially if you route it the correct way. So that is the most important thing, is to have your water plan. Know your final elevation, know where it starts, know that you have to have slope away from the house, know that you're going to have to get the water that is going to come down and collect on the roof away from the house, because that's going to be a lot of water. That's going to be most of your water. You've got rainfall water, you've got gutter water, you've got surface area water, and then you've got runoff, slope water that comes from your neighbor's area. So making sure all this water has somewhere to go is a water plan. So thank you. I hope this helps, and be sure to give us a like and a follow, because there's more to come. Hey, welcome to another episode of Learn from My Mistakes so you don't have to. In this episode, we're going to go over the importance of unsuitable soil, and later we'll cover rock claws. But specifically, unsuitable soil. Here, you were going to see me having to remove over 20 tandem loads of material. Now, later on, we're going to go back through and do some math on this, but right now, just think about 20 tandem loads, because that's what you're seeing being ripped out from this backyard right now. And then I made the decision to go through and roll in another, I think it was 80 to 100 tons of slate that we ended up putting back in. If I had it to do over, I probably would have just went back with rock and not dealt with it. But regardless, here you can see that we got our footer started digging out, and actually I had to fire my guy because the footer wasn't placed correctly. I ended up having to move it 3 foot back and then reset my rock. So I lost another truckload of rock on that job. There you can see the embankment of how much unsuitable soil was actually there. And what that was from, whenever they clipped out for that house build, they just let that dirt roll over. So unfortunately, I didn't know that beforehand, and we ended up having to cut all that out because the top deck, what was going on was we're putting in a big pool. This was a $250,000 job, huge job.
This is our
first big one like this yet. And, so it was extremely important that we got it done. And when you have rain on the forecast, this is one good thing you can do is put down plastic, right? You can put down plastic to cover your area so you can still work. Because profit is important, and being able to get these jobs done through the weather is,
I still can't post to you yet, can I?
you're just gonna have, these are some of the tricks you're gonna have to pick up along the way. So get you a little pump at China Freight, Harbor Freight, and you can go through and pump this stuff out, get you some black plastic. You're gonna end up losing all that plastic. It's no sense of saving it. It's a mess. But hey, it's better than not working at all, because you remove that plastic and put some rock down and you're good to go. And as the rest of this plays out, what you're going to see is just some time-lapse footage of work that we've done through the years, just some clips that I've thrown together. But I want to go over the importance of a rock clause. This is where you have it in your contract that if you hit rock, that you can get another machine in there to bust that out and get it out appropriately. We'll go over that method to madness in another video. But then on the unsuitable soil, you definitely want to have that clause in there, because if you ever run into it, you're gonna have to get that material out, and then more than likely, depending on what you're going back with, you're gonna have to get more material in, and that's gonna cost money. So we'll go over all that later on. Here's just a little clip of having to do work. I probably didn't have the time, couldn't find it in the schedule, or didn't have the money to pay for a mechanic, so do it yourself.